Hi, my name is Camille, and I will be reading Exodus 1 to 3 from the Complete Jewish Bible. Exodus 1. These are the names of the sons of Israel who came into Egypt with Yaakov. Each name came with his household: Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All told, there were 70 descendants of Yaakov. Joseph was already in Egypt. Joseph died, as did all his brothers and all that generation. The descendants of Israel were fruitful, increased abundantly, multiplied, and grew very powerful. The land became filled with them. Now there arose a new king over Egypt. He knew nothing about Joseph, but said to his people, "Look, descendants of Israel have become a people too numerous and powerful for us. Come, let's use wisdom in dealing with them. Otherwise, they'll continue to multiply, and in the event of a war, they might ally themselves with our enemies, fight against us, and leave the land altogether." So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built for Pharaoh the storage cities of Pithom and Rahamesses. But the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more they multiplied and expanded, until the Egyptians came to dread the people of Israel and worked them relentlessly, making their lives bitter with hard labor, digging clay, making bricks, all kind of field work. And in all this toil, they were shown no mercy. Moreover, the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was called Shiphrah, and the other Puah. "When you attend the Hebrew women and see them giving birth," he said, "if it's a boy, kill him. But if it's a girl, let her live." However, the midwives were God-fearing women, so they didn't do as the king of Egypt ordered, but let the boys live. The king of Egypt summoned the midwives and demanded of them, "Why have you done this and let the boys live?" The midwives answered Pharaoh, "It is because the Hebrew women aren't like the Egyptian women. They go into labor and give birth before the midwives arrive." Therefore, God prospered the midwives, and the people continued to multiply and grow very powerful. Indeed, because the midwives fear God, he made them founders of families. Then Pharaoh gave his order to all his people, "Every boy that is born, throw in the river, but let all the girls live." Exodus 2. A man from the family of Levi took a woman also descended from Levi as his wife. When she conceived and had a son, upon seeing what a fine child he was, she hid for 3 months. When she could no longer hide him, she took a papyrus basket, coated it with clay and tar, put the child in it, and placed it among the reeds on the river bank. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the river, while her maids in attendance walked along the riverside. Spotting the basket among the reeds, she sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and looked inside, and there in front of her was a crying baby boy. Moved with pity, she said, "This must be one of the Hebrews' children." At this point, his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Would you like me to go and find you one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" Pharaoh's daughter answered, "Yes, go." So the girl went and called the baby's own mother. Pharaoh's daughter told her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will pay you for doing it." So the woman took the child and nursed it. Then, when the child had grown some, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and she began to raise him as her son. She called him Moshe, pull out, explaining, "Because I pulled him out of the water." One day, when Moshe was a grown man, he went out to visit his kinsmen, and he watched them struggling at forced labor. He saw an Egyptian strike a Hebrew, one of the kinsmen. He looked his way and when he saw that no one is around, he killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. The next day, he went out and saw two Hebrew men fighting with each other. To the one in the wrong, he said, "Why are you hitting your companion?" He retorted, "Who appointed you ruler and judge over us? Do you intend to kill me the way you killed the Egyptian?" Moshe became frightened. Clearly, he thought, the matter has become known. When Pharaoh heard of it, he tried to have Moshe put to death. But Moshe fled from Pharaoh to live in the land of Midian. One day, as he was sitting by a well, the 7 daughters of the priest of Midian came to draw water. They had filled the troughs to water their father's sheep, when the shepherds came and tried to drive them away. But Moshe got up and defended them. Then he watered their sheep. When they came to Ruel, their father, he said, "How come you're back so soon today?" They answered, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. More than that, he drew water for us and watered the sheep." He asked his daughter, "Where is he? Why did you leave the man there? Invite him to have something to eat." Moshe was glad to stay on with the man, and he gave Moshe his daughter Zipporah in marriage. She gave birth to a son, and he named him Gershom, foreigner there, for he said, "I have been a foreigner in a foreign land." Sometime during those many years, the king of Egypt died, but the people of Israel still groaned under the yoke of slavery, and they cried out, and their cry for rescue from slavery came up to God. God heard them groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Ishak, and Yavok. God saw the people of Israel, and God acknowledged them. Exodus 3. Now Moshe was tending the sheep of Yitro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. Leading the flock to the far side of the desert, he came to the mountain of God, to Horeb. The angel of Adonai appeared to him in a fire blazing from the middle of a bush. He looked and saw that although the bush was flaming with fire, yet the bush had not been burnt up. Moshe said, "I am going to go over and see this amazing sight and find out why the bush isn't being burnt up." When Adonai saw that he had gone over to see, God called to him from the middle of the bush. "Moshe, Moshe," he answered. "Here I am." He said, "Don't come any closer. Take your sandals off your feet, because the place where you're standing is holy ground." "I am the God of your father," he continued, "the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov." Moshe covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Adonai said, "I have seen how my people are being oppressed in Egypt and heard their cry for release from their slave masters, because I know their pain. I have come down to rescue them from the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that country to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the place of the Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite, Rizi, Hivi, and Vusi. Yes, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have seen how terribly the Egyptians oppress them. Therefore, now Come, and I will send you to Pharaoh, so that you can lead my people, the descendants of Israel, out of Egypt. Moshe said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? He replied, Surely I will be with you. Your sign that I have sent you will be that when you have led the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. Moshe said to God, Look, when I appear before the people of Israel and say to them, The God of your ancestor has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What am I to tell them? God said to Moshe, Eyer Asher Eyer. I am will be what I am will be, and added, Here is what to say to the people of Israel. Eyer, I am or I will be, has sent me to you. God said further to Moshe, Say this to the people of Israel. Yud Hevav Adonai, the God of your fathers, the God of Avram, the God of Yishak, and the God of Yaakov, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is how I am to be remembered, generation after generation. Go, gather the leaders of Israel together, and say to them, Adonai, the God of your fathers, the God of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, has appeared to me and said, I have been paying close attention to you and have seen what is being done to you in Egypt. And I have said that I will lead you up out of the misery of Egypt to the land of the Kenai, Hittite, Amori, Rizi, Hivi, and Vusi, to a land flowing with milk and honey. They will heed what you say. Then you will come, you and the leaders of Israel, before the king of Egypt, and you will tell them, Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Now, please, let us go 3 days' journey into the desert, so that we can sacrifice to Adonai our God. I know that the king of Egypt will not let you leave unless he is forced to do so. But I will reach out my hand and strike Egypt with all my wonders, and I will do there. After that, he will let you go. Moreover, I will make the Egyptians so well disposed towards his people that when you go, you won't go empty handed. Rather, all the women will ask their neighbors and house guests for silver and gold jewelry and clothing with which you will dress your own sons and daughters. In this way, he will plunder the Egyptians.